Wondering what the market's up to right now, or maybe what the projections are for 2023? Well, this market update for November is for you. Hi, my name is Michele Replogle, and I'm from Coldwell Banker Realty, and I have a few things to share with you. I have been doing some extensive research, which I always like to do before I give my market updates. I think there's a lot of anecdotal information out there that makes sense, that follows real estate, but they're always national trends, and they are never really, local. Real estate is local. So I've looked and read some more broader stuff, but then I've also kind of tuned back into some stats from my broker and just kind of watching the market here. And I also came upon a few articles, one of them from Fortune magazine that I'm going to link in the video, that actually I think fine tunes it. And I think actually some of the media that's covering real estate is getting a bit better at honing in on local markets. So this update is always only from what I see in Santa Cruz County. So let's jump into first the Fortune article, because I think it has, it really does have some great points. And one of the points that it made was there was this huge boom in 2020 when people realized they could live anywhere and work anywhere, and they created Zoom towns. Now, I'd never heard that expression before, but Zoom towns, that sounds kind of funny. And these people, moved and they spread out. And I sincerely hope they still have their jobs and they are happy to where they moved to. But what the article was quick to point out is once those employers started saying, no, you can't work from anywhere, you actually have to be within a certain proximity of, the main campus of the company, or you have to be able to come in a couple days out of the week. That kind of put a, pinprick in the balloon of going as far as Idaho and other areas to work, when really they really did want you closer. So let's hope it all worked out for those people who made those moves. But what happened is it might have created some artificial bubbles in those areas. And I am going to say not so much here. And in this article, they hint towards it. And the key is the areas where there are people living that can afford higher cost housing, we may not see the prices go down as much. So sellers, that's good news for you. Now, maybe you can't get as much as you could have gotten last year or the spring of this year. Note that it's not going to go down, I don't think, a whole lot further. Maybe a little bit further, maybe this year, just due to seasonal changes, but then go back up next year in the spring like it always does, because you have a large pool of buyers who can afford this housing. And even with the higher interest rates, houses are selling, and there are ways that buyers are figuring out how to get in. But, the interest rate is projected to go down in the first quarter of next year. And that's, this is a rumor of about 5%. That could create that spring fling that we see, that just this, huge exuberance in the market, and things just go through the roof. So I still predict that, sellers. I still think next spring is your time. And I think buyers, if you can buy a little sooner before that time comes and just grab the rate that works for you for the short time, you can actually refi. Conforming loan limits are due to change as well. What are conforming loan limits? Those are the loan limits that the Fed backs the loan and makes the lenders more comfortable in lending, because they know if they have trouble with that loan, the government is going to write a check, and it's insurance basically. And so right now the conforming loan limit is 647,200, and it is expected to go to 715,000. And then the high balance max is a conforming high balance loan when it conforming high balance loan when it exceeds national conforming loan limits, because locally our prices are higher, we get like another loan limit, and that's what the high balance max limit is. And right now it's at 978,800, and it's expected to go up to 1,072,500. That gives you buyer more buying power because more lenders are going to be more comfortable loaning a little bit more, knowing the government's going to back them up. Then keep in mind, with those two amounts, you add your 20%. That gives you your selling price by sellers or your buying price buyers. So that's some good news. Loan limits are going up. That gives you more buying power. Sellers gives your buyers more buying power. So again, it does make the housing market look not quite so bad. Interest rates have edged down a little bit off their 7% perch. And they are expected to go down next year. So, it doesn't really look bad here so much. I mean, if you're a buyer, you're really not liking the interest rates. Sellers, you're not liking it. But, sellers, the inventory is still tight. You still have a really good chance of doing just fine when you're ready to sell. And buyers, if you're looking and you're diligent and you're ready to go, you're going to do okay. I mean, once it started going and the interest rates started going up, I was still selling houses. So, I mean, it can still happen. So let's go over the statistics in terms of inventory, because that's the other component to this. So we have a better loan limit coming up for loans. We have a possible interest rate downshift in the beginning of the new year. That's actually a very high expectation. But we also have inventory limits that they really constrict pricing. So sellers, this is good news for you, really, because the inventory is not going up. And I know we are on the slide, right, of the year, because this year is usually when people pull back. They don't want to show their house and have open houses during Christmas and Thanksgiving. And if they were on the market, they may take a break through the holiday season. But at the same time, we haven't really seen big numbers of inventory really for like the last year and a half. That keeps prices just a little bit higher. And then don't forget that last but not really least piece is that you have a large pool of people who can afford our housing prices. They keep our rents high, and they keep our house prices high. And I realize the political components to that statement, and I get it. And I'm a realtor, and I'm always blamed for prices going up, or all of us realtors are. And I don't know if I can accept responsibility for that. I can't really accept responsibility for a lot of high earner incomes that actually buy homes. But anyway, let me get to the statistics and tell you what I mean about the lack of actual inventory that does keep prices high. 1 week ago, we had 39 new listings, today 28, but we're going into Thanksgiving. Here's something different. Last week we had 30 price reductions. This week we have 24. Last week we had 36 pending and contingent homes go under contract. And this week we have 44. So I just said listings went down, price reductions went down, but the amount of homes that went into contract went up. See where that inventory constriction comes in? Sold last week we had 25. This week we have 15. Last week we were, what was going on? Oh, there was probably a crunch to get them sold before Veterans Day. So you'll see that around holidays. You'll see the sold numbers because people try to kind of jam those closings in so people can get into their home when they have like a 3-day weekend to move in. Expired and canceled. Last week we had 16. This week we had 12. Active inventory last week 283. This week 270. Well, of course we saw it. We had more in contract, so we have less. I mean, we really have less to sell. So you have high earner incomes running around. You have the conforming loan limits going up. You have a constricted inventory. For sellers, you're still looking really good. I know those interest rate hikes probably gave you, kind of a bit of a, and buyers too. But the market is still what it is. If you need to buy or sell, you usually can get it done if you are prepared, you're ready to go, you kind of have all your ducks in a row, and you can make it work out. My buyers and sellers are always happy that they sold when they did and they buy what they did because that really worked for them personally. So If you're sitting on the sidelines, you might want to give me a call. We can chat, go over it, buyer or seller. And if you need any more information about the market, of course, please contact me. And as always, please like, share, subscribe, make a comment. Please make it a nice comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.